Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. Some people living in Denver's South Park Hill neighborhood want city leaders to pay attention to the traffic where they live. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch joins us now from that part of Denver. And Janelle, they're talking about a pretty busy intersection at 17th and Monaco.
Yeah, that intersection is just 1 block north of Colfax, where construction is pushing a lot of traffic onto side streets. People living in this area say on multiple occasions they've seen cars drive into homes and onto lawns because drivers are going too fast and putting people at risk. Once may be an accident, twice can be a coincidence, but when a car crashes into a home 5 times,
we're all kind of feeling like, well, who's next?
That's a problem.
I really do hope that this is the beginning of some change.
Residents in the South Park Hill neighborhood want the city of Denver to see what they see at 17th and Monaco.
Instead of fostering a connected, walkable community, we are left playing a dangerous game of Frogger just across the street.
Neighbors have heard the stories about how bad the intersection can be, from traffic to crashes.
And that is certainly what prompted us to build our retaining wall in the first place as well.
Homeowner Natalie Asher,
oh, it was terrifying,
has her own story. She says a car came crashing onto her property Friday morning.
It very much makes me feel like, am I ever safe to use my front yard if things like that are continually happening year after year on this street?
She says she hasn't experienced any other issues in the 6 years she's lived on Monaco, but she wonders if the city is tracking these traffic patterns or if her home will become another crash landing pad.
What is it that's fundamentally changed in this neighborhood over the last 5 to 10 years that have caused this increasing number of very serious crashes that we're seeing to property and safety in the neighborhood?
Park Hill advocates say data supports a call to action. They hope they won't have to wait until the next car crash before change is made.
And maybe we get changes made here in Park Hill and then we get changes made in other neighborhoods. But the goal is to save lives and to make people feel safe. Dottie is planning to make some improvements beginning this fall. Those include hardened center lines at 17th and Magnolia, as well as better signage and road markings at 17th and Monaco. Live in Denver, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
New tonight, CBI has issued a Medina alert for an SUV involved in a deadly hit-and-run crash on I-25 in Denver over the weekend. Police are looking for a black 2016 Toyota 4Runner with Colorado license plate ARFH65. They say the SUV hit and killed someone on the right shoulder of southbound I-25 between West 6th Avenue and West Alameda Avenue about 7 a.m. July 5th. The SUV has damage to the passenger side doors and the front passenger side panel is missing. It also has a CU sticker on its back window. If you see it, call Denver Police.
Greeley police say one of their officers accidentally fired his gun during an arrest, injuring himself and the person he was trying to take into custody. This happened yesterday in a neighborhood off West 22nd, just north of Highway 34. Police say they were taking a man into custody when an officer tried to assist and his gun went off by accident. That officer and the man he was trying to arrest were hurt by debris from the shooting. Greeley police are investigating, and we've asked for clarity on whether that officer is on leave.
It was a nice day today, hot. Depending on where you were, you might have seen something like this. Sky 9 caught a microburst storm from afar near Chatfield Reservoir. Microbursts can create damaging winds, and we've had windy few days here.
That we have, Kathy.
Yes, we have. Those high-base thunderstorms have kind of been a trend the last few days with wind and lightning and not the beneficial rain that we need. As a matter of fact, we had a wind gust in North Denver to almost 70 miles per hour today. We had another day with downed trees, power lines, and some damage from things being thrown around from those thunderstorms that have now exited the area. A much calmer evening in Denver, but the air quality not great. A reminder, there is an air quality alert out for high levels of ground ozone through 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures today in the mid-90s. We've cooled back to the 70s, even the lower 80s this hour. And we're still monitoring thunderstorms tracking from the northwest to the southeast. A lot of wind, but no severe weather this evening. Things have really calmed down. So we'll focus on the heat dome coming in because this big high pressure ridge has prompted National Weather Service to issue a heat advisory. We're also issuing a weather impact alert for extreme heat tomorrow with record high temperatures in the triple digits. Temperatures in the 60s overnight tonight. Coming up, we'll check the radar one more time, talk about the heat advisory in effect for tomorrow and when we might see some relief in the form of rain. Your extended forecast is in just a bit.
CPW is investigating what they are calling a boating death at Prewitt Reservoir State Wildlife Area in northeastern Colorado. Around 1:30 this afternoon, witnesses reported seeing two men launching a boat, one man in the boat, the other on a dock. As the boat started to drift away, the man on the dock jumped into the water to swim out, and they say that man started to struggle and went underwater. CPW says the person in the boat jumped in to try and save him. That guy also had trouble, but was rescued by other boaters. Neither man was wearing a life jacket.
Developing news out of New Mexico tonight, catastrophic flash flooding near Ruidoso. This is the burn scar area left by fires that tore through last year, killing 2 people and burning hundreds of homes. Tonight, slow-moving thunderstorms brought torrential rain down in the area. It triggered flash flooding along the river there, which rose from 2 to 20 feet in 30 minutes. Video shows a home being carried away by the water. It's not clear anyone was inside. In Texas Hill Country, search and rescue efforts continue tonight with more than 160 people still missing. At least 110 people were killed in the flooding across 6 counties, most of them in Kerr County. That's where Colorado Task Force 1 is now, with nearly 50 first responders from our state helping search in water and collapsed structures for the missing people, hoping to find survivors. Flood emergencies like these show the importance of emergency alerts and other life-saving equipment.
9 News reporter Spencer Soisher takes us to Boulder, where he heard from meteorologists that the answer is real.
You can get one of these weather radios for about $30 on Amazon, perhaps Walmart, or at a local hardware store. They're not like your standard AM/FM radio that plays all day. Folks here at the Weather Service say you can program it to specifically get their important alerts. In a world of advancing technology, sometimes it's the tech that's been around that can keep you safest.
A long time.
Jennifer Stark is the meteorologist in charge at the Boulder office of the National Weather Service.
That NOAA weather radio receiver is just dedicated only to weather information.
She says these NOAA radios can stay plugged in your home, and they can be programmed to broadcast alerts sent from the meteorologists here at the NWS.
So the warning is really your notification that severe weather is imminent or already occurring.
You can target the alerts to your county. They work without cell service, and when the power goes, the radios can be battery operated.
If you're camping or away from home, it's another great resource to have with you.
In Colorado, they're more than just fun to have. They could be life-saving. During the East Troublesome fire in 2021, Grand County gave out radios to make sure people in rural areas could get emergency alerts.
Because flash flooding is one of our big hazards, we also really push the weather radio.
Larimer County emergency officials want people to use them too.
Yeah, Colorado does have quite a few extremes, from winter, summer, fire, flooding.
A state with year-round weather to watch for that could use some old-school listening help too.
I think it's good for anyone.
In Boulder, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
The flash flooding in the Texas Hill Country is being called unprecedented, but for one longtime flood safety advocate here in Colorado, it's heartbreakingly familiar. Marshall Freck has spent decades studying flash floods across Colorado and Texas. He's made multiple documentaries on the severe weather, and in 2005 he produced one called Flash Flood Alley, focusing on the same canyons and river systems impacted by these floods. Freck says the pattern has repeated for generations. Neighborhoods built in harm's way, wiped out by floodwaters, and then rebuilt again.
And a better move right now would be to unbuild a lot of the areas right along these riverine systems that have seen all this devastation.
Freck describes unbuilding as buying out floodplain properties, then turning them into public land. He also warned the Front Range faces similar risks if communities don't take flood history seriously.
The city-owned homeless shelter in Denver, where an 11-year-old girl fell from a 7-story ledge, had warnings posted telling people not to open the secure doors to go out onto those former balconies. The shelter used to be an Embassy Suites that had balconies with railings or other barriers. But by the time the city bought the hotel to turn it into a shelter, the balconies no longer had barriers and the sliding glass doors were locked shut. The city posted notices in English and Spanish telling residents not to open the doors. And the city says that shelter residents had to sign a form saying that they were aware of the issue and would not tamper with the locks. But after an 11-year-old girl fell out an open door on the top floor yesterday, the city said today the locks will be changed to something more secure.
What we're doing today is making a permanent solution where we're putting in bolts that can't be manipulated with Phillips or regular screwdrivers that you can buy at the store.
They've now found a new brand of lock that is not manipulable. It cannot be removed by any amount of amateur effort.
Spokesperson for the Salvation Army, which operates that shelter, says the 11-year-old girl who fell is expected to be released from the hospital soon. Denver's housing market has been notoriously tough for years.
But a new report shows there are more houses available in the Denver metro area now than in over a decade. Here is 9 News reporter Rachel Krause.
It's really nice to be a buyer right now.
After renting for years, Jacob Schaefer and his wife are ready to say I do to the Denver housing market and buy a home of their own.
We love Denver. We want to plant roots here, and so buying a house made sense. And so we've been looking and doing tours and visits on Zillow. Zillow is probably my top social media at this point. I think where things are at right now, it's the first time buyers have had leverage in a long time.
Andrew Abrams with the Denver Metro Association of Realtors says the availability of homes in Denver right now is putting the ball in the buyer's court.
We've seen this before where there's really high inventory. Having said that, we haven't seen it in a while and it feels that much more impactful. And so properties are sitting, sellers are having to be more flexible, and buyers are also being a little more picky on what they choose because they have more options.
Data from DMAR shows there's 4,000 more homes available now compared to this time last year. And the Denver metro area has its highest amount of inventory since 2011.
When you get people that are generally leaving Colorado, that can impact the market. And that's where we saw a big influx of buyers coming into the market and inventory decreasing kind of around that 2016 and on period. And now seeing that kind of stabilize and change even a little bit, we're seeing kind of the other effect of it now.
That has homes sitting for sale longer, though it hasn't dropped prices.
Surprisingly, we haven't seen an adjustment in prices yet.
That's giving buyers like Schaefer more options, yes, but also more time to think.
Knowing that we have time to go and tour houses, ask questions, work with our realtor very close, we can figure out what we actually want versus being rushed into a decision.
And with it comes the comfort of knowing when they do make an offer, that home will be just right.
It's exciting, and Denver is a great place to buy a house.
In Denver, Rachel Krause, 9 News.